I'm going to group together the assignments and the class activities in this video because we've actually had a few assignments to comment on now. Before the last evaluation, we hadn't really done any, so I figured I would talk a little bit about where I am as far as how I feel about those. So firstly, we had a class activity on February 1st, and we've actually done this a few times in each of the classes where the professors played a song and we've had to say if we think it's hip or not hip. And I like the fact that we do this because I think sometimes in a teaching setting you can learn, especially with music, you can learn, but when you go to actually do it hands-on, it's a lot harder than you think it is. So I like the practice. That particular day, I felt we zipped through them a little bit too fast, and there's a few times where I was like, was it hip or wasn't it? And I wasn't sure. But other than that, I like the fact we do those. I don't always like the fact that I get picked on for the answer, but I know that that's part of learning and it's part of um, kind of growing in a class. Another day that we had a class, sort of class activity, I guess the professor sort of called it a demo, was when Barbara Swanson came in and worked with our class. And to be honest, I didn't really see the point in her being there. She had like a beautiful voice and obviously was very accomplished. But as far as what she did, showing us how the appoggiatura, I believe it's pronounced, is supposed to be properly used, I just thought that a CD probably could have done the trick just as well. And I felt like she kind of rushed in there and maybe wanted a little bit more time with the class and she didn't get it and it just seemed a bit pointless. But it definitely got the point across to me as to what they were, which was obviously the point. Um, and then another activity we had was on February 8th, where the professor asked us to bring scores, a score that we had kind of in our own music library. And this I just felt to be a little bit rushed. Like, we only did it in the last 2 minutes, literally the last 2 minutes of class. We had to get together with a couple other people and look at the score we had and figure what edition it was. And the person I was with, it was with two people, and one of the people didn't even have a score with them. And I don't know, it just didn't seem to have the effect that it could have had if we would have maybe been given a little bit more time to do it. But at the same time, I realized that I've never really looked at the scores I've played from in the sense that I didn't even realize they were performance editions. I just thought that they were just the original score. I just thought that there was only one score, and I didn't realize that there's actually a lot of different ways that a score can be edited. And which then brings me to the score evaluation assignment that we had, which was quite challenging to say the least. I spent a lot of hours on it trying to figure out where I was supposed to go with it, and I still wasn't entirely happy with what I submitted to the professor. And I also kind of felt that I would have liked to be had been a little bit more prepared sooner. I didn't really realize until Friday what I needed to work on because we didn't get the lectures until Monday and Wednesday. And then Monday, the next following Monday, I had picked my scores, and then I realized they were piano reductions, and I wasn't allowed to use them, which I think was the case with a few other of my classmates. So just as kind of overall rushed, but at the same time, I understand that that's part of challenging us in a 400 level class, and that we need to be able to work under pressure sometimes. And the fact that it was pretty vague, which I don't always mind, because then I can kind of put my own spin on things, but at the same time, I really do need things laid out for me, exactly how they're meant to be written, and that's why I ask a lot of questions, because I just need to understand things fully before that I can start to work on them. Uh, Also, kind of going on with the score evaluations, it was interesting to read Brian Clark's notes that the professor provided us from a festival that was done in New York in February, and it was cool to kind of get an insider's perspective on editing scores and realize the obviously the kind of trials that he must go through trying to distinguish what should go in the score, what shouldn't, what's right, what's not. And I even found it like quite tedious going through each of the scores, trying to find the differences and similarities, and that was just one night. So I can't imagine how hard that must be to do for your profession. That's what all I have to say, I think, for the class activities and assignments. I didn't touch on everything, but that's kind of the big stuff that had stuck out to me. I find that this class, the assignments they're really time consuming, even the small ones. But at the same time, I realize, like I said before, that this is an upper level class, and the point of it is to challenge ourselves. It's to push ourselves and see what we're capable of accomplishing. And I'm kind of excited for the end of the semester when I'll be able to see the fact that I've pushed myself as hard as I have and made it through a class that I think was pretty challenging to start out with.